Hey guys, and welcome to our review of Ultraman Z, episode 25. I'm host of Cinder Blaze. With me today we
Frozen
have.
Stratos.
Alright, let's jump into this review. And honestly, I enjoy this episode a lot. Like, everything that you would kind of like look forward to in a finale, this episode
Yeah.
brought. Like, it definitely had like its weak points, kind of like leading up and building up to the finale. But you know what? Like this character's strong point, or this show's strong point was the
Mhm.
characters, and they shine really bright this episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's good. Like I can leave Ultraman Z on a positive note
Yeah.
and be like, you know what? I might revisit bits and pieces of
hmm
this later down on the
And
road.
like I am for all the shows that I dislike that are or all the shows that I dislike the finale of that are more recent, like the one that comes to mind is Geo, and that's because like even though they had great characters, their story fell really flat, and toward the end, they really leaned into whatever mangled mess of a story they had left. But this one, it was like, don't have much of a story, but we do have good characters. We're gonna lean into it, and we know that we can do them effectively, and they just did it. Um, it does suck a
Yeah,
little bit that uh, the stakes were a little weaker.
they're a little
Yeah,
wonky.
because like
Yeah,
scene to scene, not even scene to scene, like even setting up to this episode, we had this thing where like, hey, we can't do the Ultraman thing no more. We are going to die if you do that. Nah, I'm kidding. We're fine. Uh, so I don't know what that was about. There were no repercussions of that, and like the only other time that something as strange and confusing came up like that was with him and Yoko doing the arm wrestling thing, and that only works if one of them is gonna die, and none of them did.
yeah. There was like those slight dissonances from like the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
scene, I would guess. For that like arm wrestling scene, I think like either one of them like could have died in that moment. So I think like Haruki is just kind of like in a heat of emotion. Yoko as well, because like her consciousness is kind of like trying to come back from
Sure.
like Celebro's control, and when we kind of see him like kind of get ripped out from her
Mm-hmm.
mind, like I would imagine seeing that, that shock being translated in a scene, someone like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it is a bit of a stretch, but like I'm okay with
Yeah.
it. It was a little nice scene. It kind of like shows their bond, and
Yeah, it was a nice
yeah,
scene just in a vacuum for those characters. I just felt like the context behind it was a little lacking. I mean, this is the only negative really that I had about the episode. So that's
yeah,
probably why I'm like drilling into it, because the rest of it was absolutely fantastic. Um,
yeah. Like honestly, like there are like two major highlights for me this
mhm,
episode. Number one is going to be in like the first fight between Destrudos,
mhm.
Wyndham, and King Joe, and they're not having a good time.
No.
Like this dude just came fresh from wrecking the crap out of LA and just zipped all over here to Japan just to toss these fools. And out of nowhere, this our beautiful boy Seven comes to save the day with Bako riding him. Oh my god, that's like I felt like I really wanted to see him ride on the
Mhm.
robot like at one point in this series because he was like the cool
Yeah,
old
yeah.
guy at the facility, and he's the one who's kind of like designed most of the robots.
Mhm.
He's kind of like their father in some regard, and I was just like. That was beautiful, and like
Yeah.
his like angry eyes, like, man, it's a finale. I'm gonna fuck this guy up. Don't you know who I am?
You know, I I did actually kind of get spoiled that he was wearing a pilot suit, but when I saw the image, I was like, that looks fine. That looks correct. I Nothing is different about this here. And then, as I'm watching it, I realize, Oh, he's a pilot. Oh my god, it's happened. I did know that this was gonna happen. Man, I'm so glad I'm stupid.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
bit like Saber's episode where
yeah.
we'll get into that during that
You
review.
know, I
Um,
did want to bring up.
oh
It's rather unfortunate that, um, for all the really good work they did with Yoko, um, what she amounted to in the final episode. This is not necessarily, you know, her character as a whole, but like for the very last episode, she was the damsel in distress and she wasn't able to like actually go into the fight. And I'm really sad because like I wanted to see her get back at Celebro in some way outside of just escaping. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Just because like for me, she's kind of been the one to kind of save Harky from his damselness. You
Sure.
know, like he's the one who's kind of like needs the saving almost. Like she's the one that's kind of like dragging him into like the fight and like or pulling him out of his like depression and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff and kind of like prepping him up for the fight. You know, like she's the one who's like kind of like always been there for
Yeah.
him and not for him to kind of like go back and like reach out for her because she's been doing all this for him the entire
Mm-hmm.
series, and I think it's suitable for like this one episode where he kind of wins the arm
Yeah.
wrestle and like becomes that support for her.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, like she has been like the damsel in like a couple of
Mm-hmm.
situations where it's more of just like a power level thing. Like, she's like piloting like Sevenger or Wyndham, and the robot breaks, and like, what can you do?
Sure.
She has to get saved.
But no,
But
like I
um,
definitely get, it is powerful to, since she, like you said, was shouldering the burden so long, it's awesome that he gets to return the favor and like, something finally clicks
yeah,
for him and he gets it. Uh but I'm just saying like, oh, maybe do that last episode and then this episode she gets to I don't know. I just really wanted to see her
yeah,
fight and I was really excited when she got the new robot, the one that actually looked like an Ultraman, that she would be the one to like head up some fights sometimes and
yeah. Like
in all the ones she
maybe if like
had it was struggling between using the D40 and just actually fighting the monsters.
yeah. I mean, she was kicking ass with King Joe. I
Yeah,
think like
absolutely.
once she got that mech, she was probably like holding her own with
Mm-hmm.
Zed, except when he got like his final form, I
Sure.
guess, and that was it. Maybe if they separated Ultroid Zero from the Stratos, that would have been pretty neat. But I think with the timing of the episode and like how the plot was kind of unfolding, I would have much preferred them to henching together as Ultraman Z,
Yeah.
just for like that one last battle. Because like she was right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like why couldn't she just put in the last like
Yeah.
metal and then like he tells her to kind of like pull the
Right.
thing, and like while he's holding on the other
And it would
side,
like
because like it was so awkward for him to kind of like do the whole thing like when he's falling
and
from
it
the
would
sky.
make sense in a way, I guess, if like, hey, if we transform again, we die. But hold on, we have a third person here to shoulder the burden of the powers. You're right. That would have been
Yeah,
great. I would have loved that.
yeah. And like Yoko's always kind of like looked up to Zet this entire series. She's
Yeah,
idolizing the
yeah.
entire way through, and for her to like fight alongside with him, that would have been like a great moment
Mm-hmm.
for her. And she could have like just imagine her taking Zet's powers and his base form and destroy us, which they basically did in this episode. And honestly, like that, the music really helped for that part of the
Mm-hmm.
episode. Like that was probably like my second highlight.
Yeah.
The base form against the Stratos, the music was like all there. I'm just like, God, just beat the shit out of him, man. When he just does like his Zestium beam,
Yeah.
oof, that was the one juicy laser.
Now that you've said, Yoko should have transformed with them, I can't help but think like, think back to what is it, Pacific
Group.
Rim,
Oh,
and the two of them being drift compatible and actually fighting alongside each other. I don't know if you've seen Pacific. Dang, it's really good. Oh, but I can only think of that now. All right. You want to get into
Yeah.
comments
Uh,
or?
uh, yeah, let me uh yeah, let me get to it right
Okay.
now.
Because the first one we're gonna be doing is John Hendricks.
All right. Once this guy decides to
Sure.
load. Sorry about that. I should have pulled this
That's
up
fine. I'll
already.
read this one.
All
John
right.
Hendricks says the show had a few bumps and lulls in the middle, but I think they wrapped it up nicely in the end. This was probably due to the writer passing away in May. Parentheses, I think I read he wrote up to the first 10 to 12 episodes. All things considered, I freaking love this show. I would say it's definitely my top 3 behind Orb and Jeed, because Jeed had more zero. Even the unimportant episodes were quite enjoyable. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I think like when they let the characters kind of go at it and just kind of like have fun, those are probably like some of my
Yeah.
favorite moments in the series. Um, when they try to like force a plot and they didn't have everything with them, it was very noticeable, and like those episodes were like noticeably dragging down the series. But overall, like yeah, I enjoyed the crap out of
Yeah.
this series.
We'll
So
uh we'll dive more into that during our full series review. Um which
yeah,
yeah,
the word.
we'll get to the details for that at the end, I think.
All right, who's
Next
next?
up is Andy L.
Andy L. Glad that I didn't miss out on Zed, a damn good finale and season. This is how you do a cheering scene. This is how to do a cringe finisher while making people hype. This is how to do a show with interesting characters and turns. This new Gen Ultraman pulls me back in so damn hard. I keep looking at those SHF and toys, and now I'm gonna miss it and feel bad for each week that's going to be just Sentai and bad for Sunday.
Sentai and bad.
Damn, what a ride.
um
Saber ain't that good.
yeah.
Come on now.
Also I do like what Andy L said about this is how to do a cheering scene, because yeah, it is absolutely was. Like, you have people you care about cheering them on, and like that informs how not cheesy it is. Like it absolutely worked. Um
Yeah, like he was knocked out of his like final form and he's just like base form barely holding
yeah.
on. And he's still trying to fight. Like I feel for that at that moment when he's all beat up in that
Yeah.
building and when everyone was kind of cheering for him, I was like, ah, go for it, man,
Mhm.
go. All right. Last oh no, we
We
have
have two.
two
Heroic
more. Yeah.
Gangsters, the next one I have.
All right. It definitely ain't the best written Ultra show, but for a last episode, it really did end on a banger. This show, while I have had some frustrations on the lack of Zet, or how it is really just a really basic Ultra show with mechas, I had a fun time exploring the journey of the show on how it would do very well done action each episode and seeing what really happens next. The early episodes definitely felt like sort of the peak of the show in terms of the world building, but the later episodes definitely felt more like a masterpiece of television, cinematography, and action. The show is basically right that I always had fun in. Hashtag chant my name,
What?
Zed.
No, no.
At the very
He
end,
shows up.
just imagine if they fucking
Yeah.
die. Zed.
Oh.
All right. Our last comment is from Ryu Gano. This episode was great. It was amazing seeing Seven Girl Wyndham and King Joe fight alongside each other, and the cheering scene. Oh man, just injected that into my veins. Man, I need no more feel
It
that too.
injected it into Zed's veins, like directly.
Holy shit! Like Zet knows that that shit's like a fucking drug. That's why, like every time he's like, chant my motherfucking name. People cheering off the hero is my favorite part of any toku, and I'll always love it. Also, Celebro now being something that Yuka's gonna dissect is a fate worse than death, and I'm just laughing at him. I really did enjoy watching Zed from start to finish. I admit it's nothing spectacular, but it was a fun show to check out and watch, and it helps that I really liked a lot of the characters in the show. Zed was just fun. I'm glad I watched it.
Same.
Um, yeah, I'm really glad that it ended on like such a banger because um, I think like that's what it really kind of like sells the show in terms of like you
Mhm.
remembering it. Like it's definitely like a huge bias factor in how I'm gonna regard the
Yeah, I know.
series. So I don't know. Like I like enjoying things. So
Exactly.
there we go.
Yeah.
Another thing to enjoy. Like why would I want to like remember all the
Yeah.
bad stuff about it when I can just remember this kick-ass episode?
Also, when you said Celebro now being something that Yuka is gonna dissect as a fate worse than death, I also really appreciate that Celebro's initial host is just here hanging out and being a friend. I'm so happy about that. Like they cleared it up, like they cleared his name up, and he's actually going to like either help out Yuka or I don't know. He seems like a nice guy, and I'm glad he got to bounce back.
Yeah. It's such a tragedy what happened to his
Yeah.
character. I kind of wish they took that old general and like threw him in the trash somewhere because I hated him the entire way through. All right. Well, do you have any final thoughts for this episode at
No, I
least?
do not.
All right. Well, that wraps up our review. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check our description down below for whatever's down there. There's a little link that supports the BLM movement, so go check that out. Sign some petitions and do whatever. Anyways,
Oh,
that's it from us.
wait,
Juicy.
no. We have details.
No, that's not it
Yeah.
for us. We have some
Yeah.
details. Go
So
ahead.
basically, there's gonna be like some storage special next week. We're gonna be taking a look
Yeah.
at shelving space and all that, and different types of Tupperware to store. No, a storage special, like basically a recap for Zet. And we thought, hey, what better way to do a review for the entire show than to watch the recap, do a watch along of it, have you guys do your comments in the comments down below for the full series, and then that is when we will do our full series review after that watch along.
We were just talking about this before this episode, and I already forgot.
Ah.
So yeah, we're basically going to be doing a watch along for the recap. Leave your comments for that on that video, and we'll, do a proper series
Yeah.
review.
So expect more Zet next week.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, that is it from us. Keep it juicy. All right. One of these episodes, that shit's gonna fucking die, and we're just gonna cry.
Know. I better keep a friggin' battery on reserve or something. I use this for
Yeah.
everything now. Everything I do is
Yeah.